Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup Half Full podcast. I'm your host, Martika Shanel, and today we are diving into a topic that serves the very heart of self love, authenticity, and really owning the life we're living. And I'm thrilled today because I have a very special guest, Miss Diane Gilman. Diane Gilman is a force to be reckoned with, reshaping the narrative of aging and challenging societal norms every step of the way. From her early days as a fashion rule breaker to revolutionizing the industry with DG2 jeans, she's proven that age is no barrier to success. At 78, Diane is just getting started on her third act, empowering women to embrace aging with confidence and vitality. Her book, Too Young to Be Old, shares the electrifying story of her life and the empowering lessons she's learned along the way. From overcoming personal heartbreak to triumphing over breast cancer, Diane's journey is a testament to resilience and self discovery. Through her podcast, Too Young to Be Old with Diane Gilman, she continues to inspire and educate the 50 plus community on fashion, mindset, nutrition, health and wellness, beauty and skincare, and aging solutions. With her trademark lustrous white hair and fearless sense of style, Diane is a beacon of empowerment, urging women to define their own path and embrace their true selves. Join Diane in her mission to show the world how cool aging can be and discover the limitless possibilities that come with living your best life after 50. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
Well, I was just saying, I have been so plagued by this flu that's around. So this
Yeah.
is actually my first podcast in 2.5 weeks. So pardon me if I sound a little bit stuffy, but I'm really glad to reconnect. Wow.
Yes, and I'm grateful for you for coming on, being on the
Thank
end.
you.
Be, yes. So let's jump right in. We're talking about self love and keeping it alive, which, let's be honest, that can be a daily practice at times, right?
Oh, yeah.
And one of the cornerstones of that, in my opinion, is having self trust. So, Diane, what does self trust mean to you?
I think I'm going to take it away from self trust and just go for the big umbrella of self love. It is very common, I think, as females age, and I'm almost 80 now, so I will blame myself for a lot of things where I think as an 80-year-old, I should be functioning like a 50-year-old, right?
Mhm.
Like I should still look good in a bikini, which actually I never look good in. Or I should be as nimble as a 40-year-old, or I should be able to schedule myself out for 20 hours a day of work like I used to in my 30s. I think you have to come to terms with the truth, your own personal truth of where you're at. And every decade brings a new set of self values, self induced questions that allow you to love yourself in the decade you're in. That to me is the biggest challenge of all.
I would say so. And what has been your how have you been able to get to that place? Because, for example, we see Hollywood, right? And there's this fountain of youth that people are chasing, endlessly. And I just adore how you're able just to embrace who you are, where you're at, full fledged.
I think that is such a challenge. That's why I love the movie with Demi Moore, The Substance, which is
Yeah.
all about you hit a brick wall at 50 in Hollywood and they don't care. And the end of the movie, she's just sort of sucked up by a sidewalk cleaner and she's just a big pile of goop, pink goop, um, which shows you kind of in a very sad way how we are not treasured as we're aging. I recognize this because I've been on TV for 30 years, HSN and QVC, internationally and domestically. I realized at a pretty early age, number one, I got into a good field because it was an aging customer and you aged along with them and you participated and shared a lot of your frustrations, and those were their frustrations. But I think it's very disconcerting as a society that I've lived more than three-quarters of a century, and most of the time I'm told to just step aside. I'm not respected for it. I'm not relevant. I'm people are shocked, and actually I am shocked as well that I follow TikTok and love it, that I follow Instagram and love it, that I've got so much I want to say about the aging arena. Mostly, and especially for females, we just follow directions. And some guy says, be quiet. You're not important anymore. Your reproductive years are over. Step
Oh,
aside, give up the stage. And I think my attitude was formed by not even getting on TV till I was 47 years old, not having my light bulb moment in fashion until I was 60 years old, and realizing that you can't calendar your worth and your life, but you've got to have a high level of self respect if you want to create your own little space, which I do and I work at every day and help my community understand how to do that as well. It's work.
yes, and I love how you took charge of that and you created your own lane. And people and I've instructed on this in the past is people can see confidence from a mile away, just as though they can see insecurity from a mile away. So it takes guts, right, to be where you're at and to have positioned yourself in the way that you have to say, no, I'm here. I'm here to stay. You will listen to me and you will pay attention to me and you will respect me. I love you for that. I really
Well,
do.
I thank you. And part of that is also seeing more imagery of ourselves as females who are aging. For instance, and I'm totally hooked on all the wardrobe features of the White Lotus, but that is really if you wanted to distill that limited series White Lotus, it would be, do you look like this at 50 years old? Could you wear that bathing suit? Could you wear that cover up? Could you wear that dress out to dinner? It's an illustration of what would be the best of you at 50, 55. We never even had that before. Everybody would be 25. It would be like Baywatch and unattainable bodies. And so I see where if you are over 40, over 50, over 60, you are the majority of America. And why are you not being served? The more you can see yourself reflected on a television screen or a phone screen or a tablet, the more you can match yourself up to images that say, I do respect myself. But you need, very often to me, even as someone who was an image maker like I was and really dealt with and dressed postmenopausal women deliberately, it's comforting to see that those images are coming across and they're not dowdy and they're not frumpy. And yeah, these women are 50 and over, but they're dealing with middle age in a different way. And so I always think that the entertainment industry has to go hand in hand with the fashion industry to serve the public. I mean, baby boomers are the largest generation on earth. And beyond drugs that keep your heart beating,
Yes.
right? Or keep
Yes.
you breathing or whatever, there is very little out there that serves us. And that is so blind and so scary. We are here. We are living to 100. What are you going to do those years? And who's going to guide you along the way? That's what made it so fascinating for me to go from being a tele-retail star to um, a commentator, a podcaster. I was just named by MSNBC for 2024 as one of, and the only white-haired disruptor and influencer. And you know, I feel a very special obligation to work with my generational community and make aging something more than taking a statin or a high blood pressure drug, which is all you hear about on cable TV. Seriously.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. In terms of those who are struggling with finding their path, such as you have, or struggling with authenticity, no matter the age, what do you say to those individuals? How can they find their way?
I never hide my age. I use it to my advantage,
Yes.
right? So I always say, as you age, especially as a female, they never see you coming. I mean, nobody ever expects anything from you. So when you do anything, it's like, oh, bravo, bravo, huh? Okay. Um, I think the group community effort has to be valuing yourself and knowing that time is our most valuable commodity past the age of 55. And what are you going to do with it? Because what we were taught is you worked at some kind of agrarian physical job or you worked in some kind of clerk job as a female.
Yes.
And when you're shepherded out of that part of your life, you're told there's no alternatives. Just I don't know, go away somewhere and be quiet and do nothing. And I knew, number one, that my career, which was half fashion, half tele-retail television, I loved it. It was my whole identity. I knew already I was not going to do well at all with retirement. And I do want to say, and we're doing a podcast on it soon, Too Young to Be Old podcast. That's my title. Um, they consider the year you retire the most dangerous year of your life. That a huge percentage of people will pass on right after they retire because you've lost everything. You don't know who you are anymore. You don't know your purpose anymore. On earth, you don't feel that you're part of a flow or a societal rhythm. So I think my best piece of advice would be if you want to age and you really have to want to, number one, no, it's work. You're not floating along from cruise ship to cruise ship. And find a secondary purpose. Find you are no longer, you cannot fake it. 60 is not 50, okay? 70 is not 60. So find your purpose within your decade, be honest and true about it, and stay attached with some kind of goals. That will be your lifeline as you move on, and that will be your authenticity. You don't need to lie about your age. You should be settling into your age, bragging about your age. But, you know, for me, I had terrible TV studio hours and a brutal airplane schedule all the time. And so when I retired late at 78, I went into podcasting, which could be done remotely from my home, could wasn't involving grueling travel, and I could pick my own subject matter. Because the other thing I thought was so important was do something you truly love. Whatever time you have, and it may be 40 years left, or if you're 50, 50 years left, but do something that stimulates you, do something where you're always learning, always discussing, and read the headlines, be attached to the rest of the real world. Just because you're not going to work every day on a subway doesn't mean you don't live a life of purpose, but now it's up to you to find the purpose. So authenticity is tied to relevancy and um, giving yourself permission to be something that you did not see your parents as or doing as they aged and you grew up. My
I,
parents loved cutting coupons out
mhm.
of weekly supermarkets. They were very excited about getting a 6 pack of Coke for $1 off. And I remember watching them and thinking, shoot me if I do that with my old age.
I like that, finding relevancy and understanding what your newfound purpose is. Powerful perspective on that. And I also like how it's about reframing our mindset
Oh,
and
it has to.
embracing the evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you say for those who they're still stuck at that wall, that roadblock that says, I should have done this or I could have.
Oh, I don't ever waste a minute with that. I'm not a shoulda, woulda, coulda kind of
Mhm.
girl. I did what I did. I had a lot of struggles. I had a lot of successes. I had late in life, I'm sort of a late life diva because my light bulb moment in fashion that shot me up to 100 million a year um, came at 60 years old, which is unheard of in the fashion industry. Never give up. That's one of my goals. And obviously, you want to pick goals for your latter part of your life that are possible to achieve, but you can't calendar your life. You can't stopwatch your life and say, well, it's too late now. So I would say for anybody that's a sort of coulda, woulda, shoulda. It's not over yet. What are you doing? Why are you ending it now? Why are you putting up your own barriers and your own walls? And there has to be a societal response to the fact that aging, female or male, but aging generations that are living longer are going to have to find something to do longer. Now, it may not be your primary job. It may not be what you were, but you may not have loved what you were or have it be as defining as what I did, where I loved virtually every minute of it. But
Yes.
I did feel at a certain point that I was bored, that I wanted a new challenge, that I was in an industry and had been in it for so long, both fashion and tele retail. It was no longer growing and exciting, and I couldn't be part of the growth. It was just dog paddling and maintaining. So, what is your secondary purpose in life? What are you going to do with the rest of your life? Well, maybe you're a female who love to spend your weekends cooking and you make the best chocolate chip cookie in the world and you developed your own recipe and you want to sell it, possibly just keep your name in the game, to boutique bakeries. Find something you truly love that makes your heart beat, your heart rate go way up with excitement, no matter what level that is, how small, how individual, or how large you want your audience to be, and pursue it. What have you got to lose? You've only got everything to gain.
Yes, and I couldn't agree with you more. And that's part of what struck me, what made me stop when I came across you, when you came across my feed, because I'm listening to you and I thought, we're kindred spirits. You're free spirited. You listen to your spirit and you speak on
Oh,
that heaven.
yeah.
because it's very important. And for, I know for me, when I know you said, hey, you feel like you're, just pedaling around and what's next. For me, when I come to that point, I start to have some internal conflict, right? And I'm wrestling with myself in terms of, am I making the right move? Am I truly happy and satisfied with where I'm at? And for me, that's when I know it's probably time to, you know do something different, right? To see what else I should be pursuing, because it's there for a reason, versus staying and then still feeling that internal conflict as I spoke about. So for you, any other signs that you have, or that maybe you could advise someone else on? Hey, if you're hearing this, maybe you should look to pursuing something else that you're passionate about.
I say ask yourself this question: are you truly happy with what you're doing? You don't have to totally disconnect from where you are to start something new. You just have to. I was very logical. I didn't want to do tele-retail anymore. I got finished having breast cancer treatment. That's punishing enough to your body, but staying up till 3 a.m. in a TV studio and being back at 8 a.m. fully dressed and working until 11 p.m. was just not something I felt I could put my body through anymore. So, what was I good at? I asked myself, because I signed a contract, sold my business, but it said you can't be in fashion. That was okay with me too. But what was I good at? What could I do? Talking. I understood the camera. I understood how, when I was on tele-retail, building a 650,000 woman community. So taking that, where did that fit into the modern world? Podcasting. Who knew? Literally, that like
Absolutely.
radio would become everything again. Um, so you got to ask yourself some really logical questions, and you've got to have a certain amount of chutzpah to step into the unknown, but that can be fun too. And the other thing I really wanted was, honestly, I've been on tele-retail so long, I could have done it in a semi-coma. I wanted something that challenged me, and I wanted something I was learning from. And so having my own podcast, setting my own guests, setting my own um, feel for what the audience hungered for. All of that is very challenging to me and very satisfying when you really hit it. But here's the point: you
Yes.
deserve it. You deserve a fulfilling life as you're aging as a female. Don't look to men to give it to you, because the majority of men are going to go for a younger woman, and that's not terrible. It's the way of the species. But in fact, all that time you've wasted on stupid boyfriends, why not take that energy and put it into you and developing a new you? I mean, for me not to really be recognized or fully appreciated as a fashion designer till 60 years old is so illogical. I can't begin to tell you. But on the other hand, being picked by MSNBC as one of the top disruptors and influencer of the year at 79 years old is just as illogical. So don't discount you and your years as you age, or what your possibilities are. Believe in
Absolutely.
yourself.
I love that. It's beautifully said. You have to have something for yourself. You have to carve out time for yourself, and you have to keep something for you. If you're constantly pouring into someone else, or constantly giving someone else all of your time and energy, what's left for you? What's left for
Yeah.
you to build for yourself?
But not
Absolutely.
only that, there's a huge amount of women. It's very interesting, this statistic. There's a huge amount of gray divorces in 50s because people think I'm not growing, I'm not moving on, the spark isn't there. Do you know 70% of those great divorces are women
Yes, I
saying
can.
I'm no longer stimulated? And why do men get married again sooner? Because they don't know how to put their lives together again. Women are saying, oh, I want to travel, White Lotus. I want to start a new entrepreneurship, whatever it is. Um, we seem to have the creativity and be able to work a forward momentum. Just know every moment is a gift and precious. And as you get older, time reads differently. When I talk to most of the women I work with as a part of my team, they're in their early 30s to their mid 40s.
Yes,
And if I say, look, nothing is happening here to rate, and they're like, oh, Diane, just be patient. I always say, being patient at 40 is very different than being patient at 80. Recognize I view time very differently than you. I have less of it, so I need more from it. But really analyze your situation and build a construct that is right for the decade or the 20-year goal that you're in. But always set goals for yourself and always pursue them so you feel worthwhile.
absolutely. Yes, and again, beautifully stated. I always say, people are, because we're in, it seems like everyone's in the rat race, right? And it's like, I don't have time, I don't have time. And I say, just do one small thing a day. It adds up. It adds up. One small thing a day. You owe that to yourself. That's part of self respect. That's part of self love and self trust. And so I couldn't agree with you more. I finally decided, I resigned from my corporate position back in October because, again, the internal conflict. And I said to myself, like what do I have to give?
Mhm.
Personally, I know how to work a room, to facilitate. I have all these qualities. What's holding me back from going full-fledged in my business, in my consulting business? I love construction. I love all of that. So let's just do it and see what happens. Like you said, what's the worst that could happen? So you really have to have faith within yourself, right? That positive self-talk, that confidence within yourself to really just do it. Nothing that you can lose, like you said.
And one thing I would also say, corporate on any level, including television, has no respect for the aging female. And therefore, do you want to be in a milieu that doesn't find you worth it? Maybe you go from corporate to very individualized entrepreneurship. One thing I love about that is you don't have to go through a million corporate layers that are going to basically take your needle sharp observations and dull them down. Um, I really enjoy, on top of everything else, being able to pick my subject matter, being able to pick my guests, being able to do my solo podcast, Fashion Thursdays with Diane, and make observations where the script has not been okayed by 8 million people,
Mm-hmm.
most of whom are just afraid and or don't understand what you're talking about. So I found I was not a good candidate for retirement at all. And I wanted to do things my way. And I was really willing to put in the effort to get into an enviable position. I'm sorry, my cat, Mr. Fuzzy. Oh, screaming for treats. Lunchtime, it's lunchtime. So, I also love the idea, honestly, of working remotely. I just totally appreciate. So, you know what, ladies? Here's my advice. Create a chart, 2 lines and a bar. And it is what I love about my life, what I don't like about my life, and what I'm going to do about it. It'll never let you down. And you don't have to share it with anybody. That's the beauty of it. You can honestly just be honest to
Yes.
yourself, because there is going to come a time in your 50s or your early 60s where you are going to have to shift your efforts, your point of view, your self image, and it's better to be prepared. Yeah.
Powerful. I like that. So create your gap analysis, you all. See what it is. Do that chart. I just want to take a moment, just to genuinely thank you for your
Oh,
time.
please. It was so much
But
fun.
I could go on and on, your voice is appreciated. Your voice is needed. We
Thank
hear you.
you.
Yes, and we love you. And follow her for your lifestyle tips on mastering aging and all the above. As you all can see, she's dropping gems after gems and genuinely a voice that you need to tap into. Thank you.
And I will say also, tune into my other podcasts. I do two of them now. Fashion Thursdays with Diane. It's all about fashion. It's all about observation of where we're going, how we're dressing. Are we included? Are we not? Where to get imagery that's truthful to your age bracket.
Yes, tap into that on Thursdays. Anything else that you want to let the audience know in terms of how to reach you or any other
We
services
will,
that
we'll give you everything you need, Martika, and you can list it all in graphics. I'm very appreciative of the following I have on YouTube for my podcast, but also on Instagram and TikTok. So,
Awesome.
ladies, we're aging. We should be using our time to educate, to propagate new ideas, and to just generally have some fun.
Yeah, work hard, play hard. Remember, you all, she's saying you're worthy of love, you are capable of amazing things, and you deserve to live the life that you truly desire. So I wish you nothing more than peace, joy, and unconditional happiness. Thank you, Miss Diane, for tuning in. Bye, you all. Good day.
Bye.